Okay, hello guys, my name is Colleen, and I will be uploading videos onto this channel about sociology. Sorry, I say a lot as a speech filler. There we go again. Anyways, the reason I'm doing these videos is for my benefit and for the audience obviously, but mainly because I've realised that when I speak to someone, when I try to explain something to someone, it helps me to remember the topic better. So that's mainly the reason for it. I'll be usually talking about AS and A2 sociology, mainly A2 sociology, because I'm in year 13. And for those of you in America, South America, Australia, Europe, that's basically higher education, so maybe year grade 12 or 11 and like college. So that's that. I'll just get straight into it. I'm going to be talking about the effect mass media has on audiences, so audience theories and models. Okay, so I'll just go straight into it. The first model is the hypodermic syringe model. Sorry, I'll say that slowly. Hypodermic syringe model. And this model is basically the idea that the media audiences are directly affected by the media that's portrayed. So media messages are directly injected into the audience. And that's really similar to like being injected with a drug, for example. It has a direct impact on you, a direct effect on you. And one of the theorists that's related to this topic is Bandura et al. I say theorists, so more than one. Okay. The criticism of this is the idea that audiences are actually diverse and can react in different ways, and obviously they have different other influences like religion and family, so audiences aren't passive. Basically they kind of have a say on how they can interpret something, basically. Second model is a two-step flow model. The two-step flow model is kind of in the name, it's two steps. So the first step is the idea that media messages are interpreted by opinion leaders. Opinion leaders are people that are specific or important to a specific type of media or a specific genre or whatever. So for example, fashion, opinion leaders will be a group of girls, for example, ranging from the age of 15 to 35 possibly. And then those opinion leaders interpret and influence others. So the first one, media messages are interpreted by opinion leaders, and then the opinion leaders then influence others. Okay, theorist is the one I can remember is Vanette, who does talk about women's fashion. The idea that she realized that media companies realized who the opinion leaders were, which were girls between the age of 15 to 35. I say girls, female, and so they decided to actually put their advertisements into magazines, because that's where those opinion leaders mostly went to for fashion advice and stuff. And then they found that actually those people, because those opinion leaders started to buy the products that were advertised or whatever, they had an influence on other people. So that's an example of an opinion leader, and that was Vanette. Criticisms of that is the idea that it's slightly not the actual opinion leaders who influence others, because the idea that they're being portrayed as of a powerful group of people. So it's not really the ideas of the opinion leaders, but mostly the ideas of the powerful people that kind of portray those ideas to the opinion leaders. And also the idea that there might not actually be consensus between the media messages, the understanding of the media messages. So what I mean by that is the fact that, take fashion for example, you've got such a large age group, you've got from 15 to 35, and not only that, you've got different ethnicities, you've got different fashion senses. Someone who's 15 and more of a tomboy but into fashion might really like Jordans or something, I don't know, or what else is out, like Nikes or whatever, whereas someone who's maybe say mid-20s might be more interested in high heels, wearing pretty dresses and stuff like that. So there might not actually be consensus of the understanding of the media messages. Okay, the third one, 3, is the uses and gratification model, and that was by a theorist called McQuail, and he basically said that the effect that mass media has on its audience is that mass media audiences are active, so they look to the media to actually fulfill a purpose, and they use the media in different ways. For example, entertainment, which is most common, information, so through the news and books and stuff, for personal relationships, so relating to different characters possibly, or to build relationships, and for personal identification, so to kind of say relate with other people, so identify who you are through the media. But the criticisms of that is the idea that it doesn't actually explain why people use the media. It gives uses of the media but doesn't explain why. Another criticism is the idea that the media may be the ones actually creating those needs. For example, back in the day, so years ago, people wouldn't actually use the media for personal identification, but now the media has kind of created this idea that you can actually go online to find a person, what personality you are. There's 16 different personalities, and you can go online to find exactly who you are by taking a quiz, which is built up of around 40 questions. Do you know what I mean? And actually, I can't really say much because I used that quiz as well, and I actually find it quite insightful. But okay, the fourth model is the interpretive model, and that is basically the idea that the audience filters messages and can choose to ignore some and accept some, reinterpret some. An example of that is from a theorist called Buckingham, and he talks about media literacy and the fact that people who have been in the media industry, who know knowledge of the media, know what's being portrayed, how it all works, kind of have an understanding, so they can therefore interpret the media however they know best. So accept what they know is true, what they know to be true, and to ignore what they know to be false, to reinterpret it in the right way. Do you know what I mean? So that's the interpretive model. Criticism of that is the fact that this model underestimates the power of the media. So although people will choose to ignore and interpret, reinterpret, accept different things, the media is actually powerful, and they might end up having some sort of direct effect on people. Also ignores the idea of having social groups that may also influence people. So for example, your religion, so people in church, your family and your friends, they all have an effect on you, an effect on what you decide to accept in the media. Okay, so that's that. The fifth one is the structured interpretive model. I say that again, sorry, the structured interpretive model. So that's very similar to the interpretive model, but it differs because although people choose to accept what they want and people accept the media in different ways, there's actually a sense of a dominant preferred reading being there, so a dominant idea that's being put forward. And the criticism of that is also the fact that there's different social groups that may have a strong influence on people. So for example, even though there might be this dominant idea that Nike shoes are the best shoes, I have my friends or I have my family that be like, Nike shoes aren't actually that great, and because they have such an effect on me, I will lead towards what they have told me rather than the media, even though a lot of people may agree with the media. So that's the structured interpretive model. And that's it on models, but I did want to include postmodernism and the effect mass media has on audience, what they believe. So postmodernism believes the idea that people relate to the media a lot because society is very media saturated, and people can identify with the media based on things that they buy and based on things that they hear, and they also and it's also about consumption as well, so people can relate and create different cultures based on what they buy in the media. There's also the idea that there's actually no dominant ideology, there's no dominant idea in the media. And the final thing to point out is by a theorist called Baudrillard, and he talked about hyperreality. Now hyperreality is basically the idea that because there's so much media in society, it's actually difficult for people to distinguish between what's real and what's actually just the media. So there's kind of a blurring between the actual reality and the media. For example, we've got like fighting scenes in movies and war scenes. There's such a dramatized idea of war, and it kind of blurs what people believe about the war and what's actually the war happening in the war. And the criticisms of that is that the idea that postmodernists believe that there's no dominant ideology, but you have to look at who's actually owning the media, and it's actually the same race, kind of the same age range, the same class, and the same gender, and all of those factors have an effect on what's portrayed in the media, and they might all portray their ideas and their dominant ideology on the media. So although they say that there's no dominant ideology, kind of by default there sort of is, based on the people who actually do own large media companies. And that's all I have on effects that mass media has on its audience and models. So I hope you actually kind of gain an understanding of it. As I say, this is really for me to kind of build my knowledge on sociology and allow me to be able to explain and criticize better and remember sociologists. But obviously, if you are watching this and you have been informed, then I guess I've done two things, killed two birds with one stone. So I will be posting more videos, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed.